there's always there's never the same perception of you in other people's minds. There's every single person has a slightly different perception of you based off of what they've seen and what they've heard and how you've interacted with them. And so really all we can do is kind of, okay, that's your idea of me, that's your idea of me, but this is who I am, because I am me. Nobody knows you better than you know you. And so um as long as I'm aware that I am the only Maliyah Renee Moore that there is, was, will ever be, it is Maliyah Renee Moore. It is not Zendaya Jr. It is not Ariana Jr. It is not any
Right.
any perception that you have. Your idea of me is just that. It's an idea of me.
Walt Disney famously said, if you can dream it, you can do it, which is true in all aspects of life. If we're going to pertain to specifically acting and filmmaking, it's probably one of the top quotes that we hold closest to our hearts. For someone who grew up loving acting and was waiting to find a way in, I know how true this quote can be if we actually hold it. It's so simple, and you might think, "Oh, that's of course that's a given. It's not even some deep, profound quote." But sometimes it's the simplicity that makes it so powerful. If you can dream it, anything that you can dream, you can do. All you have to do is start walking in the right direction. Whether you're 60 years old and wanting to start doing this, or if you're like our guest today and still in high school, welcome back to Filmmaker on Filmmaker, a place where I, or sometimes my co producer Quanell, will hop on and chat with some people who are on the way to stardom, as we would like to say and hope and believe, and get some insight for people who have been doing this for a long time and want to get some insight from people who are in a lower industry who haven't quite made it yet, or people who are just starting out and want to like know the basics. I still think this is a powerful way of letting people in on what it is for all of us who are really trying to make this a profession but haven't quite broke in yet. I think that sometimes could be more inspiring than someone who's already made it and is cranking out big time movies. And of course, their advice is great, I'm sure, but it is different whenever you can relate on a different level. You don't have to hear about their beginner stories. You can see where they currently are and believe, hey, I'm right there with them. I can do this. If they can do it, I can do it. Also, let's hype them up because they are on their way to doing it and deserve to break in, as everyone does. Our guest today is somebody who is very talented, very self-aware, and has a very interesting take on a lot of things in the acting world, and her process. It's somebody who's done commercials since she was younger, has had an agent for a while, since she was younger, who is not afraid to be on camera and is no stranger to the camera or being seen or acting on camera, being vulnerable, being funny, because she's been doing this from a younger age. And it's somebody that you would want to look up to whenever you're wanting to learn how to kind of deal with the ebbs and flows of what happens in the industry. Um, and you might be thinking, oh, this is crazy. This is somebody who's still in high school. Why would I listen to this person? Well, you're just going to listen and find out. I feel like there's a lot of good things that happen in this interview, um, and a lot of good points being made and very important points from somebody who, like I said, has done this. And it doesn't matter where you are or what age you are. If you have that experience and you have that knowledge, it's going to be crucial for anybody. So, for those of you who want to learn, let's just jump into it. Hello, Malia. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So to get us started, I've kind of I already had an introduction where I talked a little bit about you in my words, but I wanted to hear in your words something about you. It could be anything, doesn't have to be your whole past or whatever, but
Yeah, well, my name is Maliyah Renee Moore. I started acting in 2019. I think I was 12 then. I loved it ever since I was a kid. I can never imagine myself doing anything other than being involved in film. Um, Yeah, I haven't done any feature films yet, but I have done obviously a few short films and some commercial and print work and stuff like that. But feature film, that's the goal for this year. So
Oh,
yeah, that's
awesome.
exciting. Mhm.
Since you're 12, that's crazy. And I think it's really cool that you like weren't taken out of school even though you've like already shown that you are booking jobs and your parents, I guess, was that like, I mean, obviously it's probably not your decision, but it was like your parents' decision to be like you're gonna finish school or keep going through school.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, so I was in person, and then obviously COVID hit, and I was in seventh grade, and so that pushed me to virtual until the end of eighth grade, and then freshman year, I was back in school, but it wasn't the same. I loved online, and it was so much easier for auditions and booking things and
Mm,
everything like that. Um, but for the last 2 years, so my sophomore and my junior year, I was online, and this year, my senior year, has actually it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle getting back. I'm
right.
back in person again, and I every day I think about I should go back online. But no, my mom definitely. I don't even think it's ever been kind of a question of if I'm gonna, not finish school. It's just always kind of been an unspoken thing that I just will because that's just I don't know the goal, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely smart. I just brought it up because I know that when I fell in love with acting. I was like 10,
Mm,
but we lived in a small town in Texas and there wasn't really anything there film wise. There's
yeah.
theater, but not like a profession. It's just like a hobby.
Mm,
So it's kind of like, well, I can't do anything until I graduate and move on somewhere. So
mm,
I know I have to finish school. But since you're booking commercials and stuff when you're younger, 12 and, preteen age and early teenage years. I thought
mm.
I wanted to ask you if like was like, oh well, I'm actually doing something else. Do I really need school? Or was it I mean pretty much answered that question beautifully, but
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely for college though I will say since this is my senior year, college I've never wanted to go, like, and I still don't really want to go, but I just think I feel like for anybody and everybody in the film industry, like you should kind of have a little bit of a backup in mind. I fully
Mhm.
believe in myself, of course, and I have faith that I'll make it, but at the end of the day, it's not 100%. So, going to college to get a degree in something maybe towards the arts, maybe something totally different. Maybe I'll double major. I'm not sure, but I think that's kind of smart. But I've never really like wanted to go, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it is good to have like a backup in mind. Um, I always try to make my backup something kind of related to acting,
Mm.
but it never really truly works out. Um, so whenever you started, what kind of really got you into wanting to act, I guess? I know you said you're about 12 was when you got into it. Was there
Yeah.
like a person or was it just like a casting call maybe randomly came?
Well, so I mean, since I was a little girl, like I've always wanted to act. Like I've literally I was like, I want to be in Disney Channel and all the things. And
Of
my
course.
dad, he um he used to really like, egg me on and be like, yeah, yeah, we'll do. Of course we never did, but he was very God rest his soul, but he was very encouraging in that aspect. And so when I was 12, it was 2019 that my mom had worked for like Urban Air Corporate,
Mhm.
and which is a trampoline park in Texas, and they were like, "Hey guys, we're gonna do a photo shoot, and if you want, like, bring your kids. We're not gonna pay them. It's just for fun." And so, of course, my mom, knowing that I wanted to be in that kind of industry and stuff, she was like, "Okay, yeah, like I'll bring Malia." So I go, and I'm totally inexperienced, don't know anything about anything. Um, and so I get up there and I do the thing, and I spend the whole day there, and it's super fun. It's a blast, and I'm kind of more reserved. Obviously, I'm 12, so I was kind of just
Right.
thinking of my mom. But the director had gone to her, and he was like, man, she's just so good, she's like really good at taking direction, here's a list of my favorite agents. So he gave my mom a list of 5 agents there in Texas. And
Wow.
so we contacted a few, and I ended up meeting with Linda McAllister, and it's just been history ever since. So yeah.
She's based in Tulsa, right? Or am I?
I think so. I know that I lived in, I think, Frisco, which is right by Dallas at the time. I'm not completely sure, but I know that she has an LA roster. I was just put
Mm,
on that last year. She's got an LA roster and then a Texas roster. But I live obviously down in Oklahoma now,
mhm.
but I'm still signed with her.
Oh, cool. I think I actually might be thinking of another Linda, but no, I think that's really cool. Um, and it's so crazy just to go back to COVID and everything that you're like in seventh grade, going to eighth grade or whatever, because I was like on my way out of out of high school. It's kind of like,
Really?
oh yeah, I'm glad this is happening now because like I'm literally, I was a junior whenever everything got shut down, and my senior year was kind of like hybrid, in person and
Mhm.
not in person or online. But it's kind of like, and senior year, we're out of here. But to like talk to somebody who was like, I'm right in the middle of my of high school, that's kind of crazy to hear how that went for you.
That's insane. I did not. I guess I didn't really know how old you were. I don't think we're the same age. No. No.
Yeah, no, 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 no. Um, no, that's why another reason why I wanted to talk to you is because you are younger, but you still like carry yourself well, and you're answering the questions about school and stuff well. Where I feel like I was a little too headstrong. Especially if I got the opportunities like you did when I was those ages, I probably would have been like, yeah, screw college and screw school and all this. But I think it is you have a level head, and most of that comes from like your mom and your late father. Sorry for your loss there, but
Thank you.
I think that's it's very special to have parents like that. My parents are like that. They're the only reasons I finished school, like I said, but I think that's a good way to truly make sure you're taking the right steps and not just be too
Yeah,
ambitious, because it's really an ambitious like industry.
it is.
um and if you don't like have your uh I don't want to say your faith, but just kind of have your if you're not like conscious of what you're doing, just trying to do everything because you're trying to get to the end goal,
Mhm.
you're either gonna fail and just be like, oh man, I'm never gonna reach that goal now, or you'll end up reaching that goal really fast and you're like, where I go from here you know
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree. And my mom she's such a rock. Like, she does everything for me. Like, I mean, she makes auditioning so easy. She reads those lines, she
oh
sets the lights
nice.
up, she sets the background up, she spends her money, she drives me to Texas when I have something going on in there. She does everything for me. So I'm so grateful for her. And yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think what also helps is like with the film industry, like I personally, I go through slow seasons. Like, I was so blessed last year and the start of this year too. Um, but so blessed. But for I think 2 years prior to last year, so that would be like 23 and 22. Um, I was so slow. I mean, I didn't book a single thing. I barely saw auditions,
Mm,
and that is so, as an actress, that's so hard to go through because you want success, and you are ambitious and you do want to reach these goals, but there's just nothing you can do about it. And I feel like with that that forceful break, that like forceful, like, hey, slow down,
mm,
you really are kind of forced to think, well, maybe I should go to school and have other things in line as well, so that this one thing isn't my entire life, even though
right.
it's all you really truly want in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. Um, I like to think of it, because I am a Christian and I believe in God, that it's everything comes with His timing.
Mm,
And a lot of people, even if they're not Christians, they still believe in something like the universe or whatever. Like there's some driving force that is kind of guiding us. And if something doesn't go our way, it can't be like, oh man, it's not really on us. Like lots of little things could happen, like in casting or whatever, that it's not truly our fault. But
Yeah.
there's something else at play that's kind of holding us back. And I think of it like I'm waiting for my moment. There's a moment coming where I'm truly gonna break in. This isn't that moment, no matter how bad I want something. And I kind of had those audition, dry spells too over the past couple months. This month I've been really blessed. The first week I got like absolutely nothing, and I'm like, oh well, here goes 2025. This is gonna be.
Yeah.
And the whole rest of the month, and it's not even, well, not even at the end of the month. I've already gotten 6 auditions in the
Oh,
past few
wow.
weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason, I believe. And it's like not even these like really ambitious projects that I'm like, oh yeah, let me hurry up and turn the audition. It's just kind of just like it's just work,
Yeah.
but you got to take everything that you can
Yeah.
because something bigger is coming. But I don't know. I just
Yeah.
wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there because I also believe in God. I'm a Christian as well. And so I definitely agree with like um I always come to auditions with if it's for me, there's nothing I can do to mess it up. Like if I'm meant to have it, I mean I could walk in here, say my lines blandly and I'll still get it if it's for me. And
Hmm.
so I really do always believe that things there's a reason and it's God's timing. And especially because last year I had just like I was still going through kind of a dry period. And I decided I was like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of doing nothing. Like I'm so tired of sitting here and waiting for something to happen. And there's nothing I can do, but maybe there is. And so I started really focusing on my mindset and really focusing
Hmm.
on, you know what, I am gonna get something and something is gonna come to me and there is no if. It's going to happen and it's gonna happen now. And so I remember like I, just recorded a little video and I was like, "I'm changing, like, this is it, like, there's no more of this, like,
Hmm.
boring, bland, dry career, no more." And so, I think, like, 2 days after I recorded that video, I had gotten this big audition, and, I won't say what it is because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I,
Right.
got this big audition, and it was months of auditioning. It was from I think October was the first time I got it, and then, the audition, and then January was the last I heard. And so I auditioned in October. About 3 or 4 weeks later, I got a call back. And then I waited an entire month, and that night I was like, I mean, I know I have it. I have faith that, I asked God for this and I've been praying and I've been manifesting. I've been doing the things and I know that it's for me. I know that I have it. So I'm just going to stay strong in that. And the next day I woke up, or my mom came in screaming in my room at 6 a.m. and said, "They're flying you to LA, like you're gonna do a chemistry read."
Wow.
And so I went and I did the read and it was so cool and I made like so many friends and it was really nice. And then I waited I think 2 weeks and I got a call and they said, "Listen, you didn't get it. You were second in line, but blah blah blah." And I was devastated. I've never cried over a role before, but like
Hmm.
I was devastated. But and so the months following that, I really had to build myself back up and because I kind of felt like, hey, like I prayed for this and I manifested this and I got so far in this and I felt so good about this and what
Right.
happened. And it's just so interesting to me that you'll never know what is behind the curtain. You'll never know.
Hmm.
Like something could have happened. If I would have gotten the role, something could have happened to me or or anything. Anything could have happened, but it wasn't mine. And
Hmm.
trusting that that's the right decision because it's God's decision is really something that I have to like remind myself of and just stay strong in.
Yeah. And I think it's easier when we're younger because have that time to be like, okay, well, we didn't book this. Even though we got so far in the process, we didn't book it. We'll get it next time. I know for like people who are older, or they were just like they're testing out acting to see if it's truly going to be something that they want to do, and it's like they get so far in the process and it's like, oh, actually we're going to go this other way. It can be discouraging for someone who's older, who's got like a lot more responsibilities, but I do find it very special to be in this age where we have the time to not even just like not get a role but also turn down roles, which kind of leads me to the next question I was going to ask you about. Have you ever had to like turn down an audition because it just like truly did not speak to you at all?
There is one that immediately comes to mind, and that was okay. So, have I don't want to make everything about like my faith and everything like that, but
Hmm.
it is a big part of who I am, and
Right.
um, I think that this was last year, and I had gotten this audition for this movie, and it was demonic. It was like talking about the childhood of Jesus, and then Satan as well, but it
Hmm.
made it I don't even remember it so clearly, but I read through it a little bit, and it had already had some people cast in it who are famous. I mean, it would have
Hmm.
been a good job to book if we're talking career-wise.
Hmm.
Um, but it was making Jesus out to be something he's not, and making
Hmm.
Satan out to be something he's not. And I was like, and the role was that I would have been auditioning for was I think like young Jesus, which I thought was also weird that they would want a
Hmm.
female for that. But I was like, yeah, or no, wait, I'm lying. It was young Satan. That's who it
Oh,
was.
okay.
They wanted me to audition for young Satan.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely not. I'm not touching that with
Hmm.
a 10-foot pole. And I have another friend, his name is Harry Wynn Bradley. He is an actor, and he got the same audition like 2 days after I had gotten it. And I had complained, I not complained to him about it, but I was telling him about it. And I was like, yeah, there's this thing, and it's so like demonic, it's weird, and I'm not taking it. So then 2 days later, he was like, I just got that same audition, and I was like, oh, what are you gonna do? Because I'm not one to be like, I'm not doing it, so you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I was like, well, what are you gonna do? And he was, he's a baby Christian. He was kind of starting to explore his faith, and he was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. Like something else is gonna come. And so that was one role that I remember that I was like, no,
Hmm.
no thanks, because
Yeah.
I just I I say now, and I will stand and die on this hill that I will not touch anything that goes against my religion. It's
All
just
right.
who I
Yeah. And it's so funny that you bring that up because I actually got an audition for that same project because just the way that you're describing it, I'm like, yeah, I know what that
You're
is.
kidding!
I was I don't remember how they phrased it, but I was Satan. That's I kind of came at it from a different like I'm kind of the same way where if it like totally goes against my beliefs and stuff, I won't do it.
Mhm,
But I will, as an actor, as loving like the craft, I
mhm.
want to look at it at every single angle I can. I can't just see something that's like, oh, this movie is about hating Jesus, and I'm like, well, that's real life too. People hate Jesus, or people hated Jesus back then. So it's like maybe it's just really the truth, and they're
Yeah,
telling it from a different standpoint. So I'm like looking at every angle, looking as like, well, and then from a creative standpoint, I was like, this would be like you said, a really good role, look really good on my resume. Um, and I sometimes I just get lost in looking at breakdowns. So I looked at like the audition and I kind of just went for it. I was like, who
mhm.
knows? Um, something about it was weird, but I still like went ahead. Obviously, I didn't get it because I'm not in Hollywood right now. But that's one of those things. Probably just God, like, come on, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of learned more about it after actually I saw who got cast. Like I'm sure it's probably the big name you're thinking about who got cast in it. And then that's when I really saw like a concrete like synopsis of the film. And I was like, oh, huh, that's what it was for. I mean, it would have been nice to act against him or act with him, but that's kind of I'm glad I didn't get it.
Yeah, I actually haven't looked at anything revolving it since. I was just like, decline. But I kind of always like look up the directors and the project beforehand when I get an
Hmm.
audition. But yeah, I haven't looked at it since.
Yeah, I saw the direct. I didn't recognize who he was, the director. But I was like, he's got some pretty cool credits. But yeah, I don't know. I try to look at the director too, so I'm glad we both can kind of agree that we both do that.
Yeah,
I think it's smart to do that from an auditioning standpoint, so you kind of know what you're about to or what kind of things they direct, so you kind of know
yes,
what they would want for the project.
yes, yeah, yeah. I always like, and sometimes I try not to because I don't want to like psych myself out or anything, but I do always like, they give you the list of here's the casting director and here's the
Hmm.
director and here's the producer and here's all these things. And so I always Google them and then I just doom scroll through their resume. Um, but it does definitely like give me an idea. Okay, he's kind of a comedic director. He kind of wants this kind of actor. He's kind of like this, and okay, he's kind of more serious and more dramatic. And sometimes I used to actually when I was like kind of first starting out, I used to be like, okay, do I think that I need to act good for this role or do I think that I just need to act crappy? Because, there's like crappy acting movies or
Hmm.
shows, and then there's like good acting. But
Yeah.
I've realized in the last like 2 years that I just need to bring me. Like I don't need to nothing else. I don't need any other kind of anything. I just need to bring me and I need to bring my abilities and not dumb them down for a movie or a show.
Right.
You know?
No, that's actually leads me to the I was gonna save like all the audition questions for later, but they're just coming up perfectly right now. I was gonna ask you how you approach auditioning, because I want the actual title that I'm gonna name this episode is from aspiring to inspiring. Um, because like you probably think of yourself as either like an aspiring actress or like I mean you've already made it. In my eyes, I think that you are inspiring, and I had this whole big deal I was gonna say, but it's I feel like people need to like let go of whatever ego they have and like actually look towards the younger generations, because you have
Yeah.
these people who have a lot more have a lot of energy, and they're getting roles that like people who are older will never get. So it's like, if anything, they're the future, and I think that is cool that you're so excited. And I know some other people like Griffin, younger people like that. Griffin, who is also an amazing younger actor. Um, I find y'all so inspiring. Y'all keep me going, and that's why I'm so glad I can like collaborate with y'all and talk to y'all, because I'm like, cool, okay, this is making me feel a little, I guess, younger. I say that, but I'm only 21, but like it's still
No, that's so
um
sweet. I love that. Thank you so much for saying that.
yeah, of course, of course. And I know y'all are out doing y'all's thing, whatever. So I think that it's okay to let go of like oh, this 16-year-old is. I'm not saying that you're 16, but just like some 16-year-old is telling me that I should do this or I should do that, and I think that it's better to be like, okay, why not? Like, why don't you listen to them? I don't care if
Yeah.
they're four, you know, or 400. Everybody has a different, just like the industry is so massive and always changing, and there's no certain way to break in. That's how it is with the people in the industry. It's like you never know when you're going to get that little bit of wisdom. You never know who's going to come from.
Yeah, that's super smart. And I think that there is value in experience and these old fellows who have been in the business for a long time and all the things. But I also do completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, and especially I feel like in the film industry, as like, I mean, I was 12 on set talking to 50-year-old dudes just having conversations because we were supposed to look like family on camera.
Right.
And they share their wisdom. And I feel like with a lot of the younger generation, like we're not I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of us, especially in the film industry, are mature and do have good advice and a voice to be heard. And it is really disappointing, when you have so much to share but you don't have anyone who's willing to listen
Yeah.
because you're younger, you're not so experienced. I think that there is value in experience, but I also think that there's value in youth and bringing a new perspective and new ideas because we are in the industry and in this specific time when things are changing all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
so much is changing in the film industry, and so our eyes are really fresh, and I think that it would be a mistake not to listen.
Right. No, yeah, I think that's really powerful and a really good point. I mean, basically took what I said and just, put your little youthful spin on it and but yeah, that being said, I was going to before I kind of went down that whole youth little rabbit hole, whatever. I was going to ask you how you approach auditions. Because I know for me, I at first when the first couple ones came, like 2023 was when I moved up here to Oklahoma City, and I would get auditions, and I'm like taking days to just like write down notes on every single line and do this and do that and make sure I'm doing everything I can. I know I have the lines memorized and I know the character, and I'm like not, I guess, method acting in a way because I'm walking around my house as the character, not even on screen, just trying to get into the headspace. And
Yeah.
then eventually, like last year, I got to the point where I was kind of like, who cares? Like I just set the camera up and I don't even know the lines. I'm reading the lines off of like, like my phone or the computer or something as I'm doing the audition because I'm kind of like, if I, like you said earlier, I could just not even try. If it's meant for me, I'll get it and then I'll piece together a character. But I'm not going to spend days crafting a character that I'll probably never portray. But that's just me. Other people can do it, and that could work fine. So I just wanted to ask you
Yeah.
how you kind of approach all that.
Yeah, well, recently my method or approach to it has changed. So, uh, since 2019, I have always just kind of, gotten the line or gotten the sides and just looked at it, read through it, memorized my lines, whatever, and then just kind of done it. And if it gives me a character analysis, then I try my best to be that, but I don't really dig deep into it. Um, no wonder I haven't booked anything. So I recently and what has actually gotten me farther is I get the sides and I'll go through it. I'll do an initial read and then I'll take a pen and I'll just write down everything. I mean, I'll on a separate piece of paper, I'll write down like, okay, what's the character analysis? I'll read it and I'll pick up like, they'll be like she's determined, she's organized, and I'll write down these, the things that they give me, and then I'll write down synonyms for it, and then I'll write down antonyms for it. And it's a lot it sounds like a lot of work. It kind of is, but it just helps me personally. So I write down the synonyms, I write down the antonyms, so I really understand, okay, who is this character? What is she, like, who is she?
Hmm.
Then I'll go through the script and I'll find points in where she's being one of those descriptive words. So if it says that she's really organized, I'll read through the script. Is she saying something that kind of leads you to think, oh, she's really organized? Is she doing
Mm.
something that leads you to think she's really organized? Now, what's her attitude about it? What's her attitude about what she's saying or what she's doing? And then I'll write down, and I go insane. Like, I have this like these sides um in my kitchen, which is just like insane. Oh, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but like, you know, um I can't think of the word, but it's like writing on the paper, whatever. Um but I'll go through and I'll write down things that I think that I could do. So like if I think that I could like flick my eyebrow up in a moment, or I think that I could look down or look to the side, or kind of rub my neck or something, or anything that I think that I could kind of add, I write down. And I will say that I do in the moment. So in scenes, I really just love kind of improving those things. But for
Right.
auditions specifically, I like to know what I'm going to do, because otherwise, the ring light and the phone and my mom
Hmm.
reading the lines, it kind of intimidates me into just saying the lines, and I'll act them with emotion, but I'll find myself kind of still. I kind of
So
find myself not doing much. And so I like to write down on the script what it is that I'm going to do, when my voice is going to peak up, and I mean, I'm thorough about it. And so that's what I've been doing recently. I really pick apart this. I mean, it could be a 3-page scene, and I'm picking it apart and I'm pulling everything that I can. I'm like soaking this character, um, wringing it dry, just getting everything that I can out of it, so that I know who I'm becoming, and I can portray that in the best way possible.
yeah, I like that. I guess I'm kind of, well, not, I don't do the exact same thing, but I can definitely see where you're coming from. Um, for me, I think that I don't know. I like what you're saying, where you like when the scene actually comes, you can actually kind of let go and improv things and just be there with the scene partner. I kind of fall into the same thing where I'm like, I have like this app where like I'm reading the sides to myself basically, so I don't have a reader. I usually do, and that's probably why I haven't booked anything. But no, I kind of just that's like the only rehearsal I do. It's just easier. I laugh too much with my family if they try to do it, so I gotta get past all that. Or if I really need to, I'll go to my acting coach or whatever. But there is that sense of like, even if it is my acting coach, she's still not the other character. So it's like until I can be on set with that other person, I don't know if I don't want to like think too much, because it's like, what if I don't even do this? I want to give as much of a performance as I can. I did this audition last year where it was like a Zoom audition, which I'd never really get those. It's usually like, self-tape and I can take my time. But it was like, no, I'm actually in the Zoom. I got to do everything live. Um, and it was only like two lines because it was for this like book trailer thing. Um, and I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm gonna say these lines. It's like a dramatic scene too, so it's not like I can just say them really fast, but I can't say them too slow because it is a trailer. So
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what? What can I focus my energy on that's not the lines and the performance? So I was like, let me focus on the wardrobe. So it's like this, it's almost like Dune-esque. It's like out in the sand, out in the desert, like post-apocalyptic time. And I'm thinking about Dune because whenever I think of like sand dunes, that's the first movie that pops in my head, Dune and Dune 2. So I was like, okay, oh, they're always wearing those scarves or whatever. So I like grabbed a random t-shirt and kind of used it as a scarf. And kind of added in a part where I walk into the scene, I kind of like let the scarf go and then I start saying my lines. And I booked that thing last year because I did that. The director was like, man, he came in prepared. And he said he's the guy that also wrote the book. So he knows the characters. So he's like,
Hmm.
that's exactly what I envisioned. He's like, it's almost like he read the book, and I was like, I didn't. But that's just something that came to mind. I think when it comes to audition, you want to give your all. But I think the story that we can get from both of our stories, or that we just had, or both of our processes, is that it's okay to give your all, but just know it's gonna change. So don't try to make everything concrete. Don't spend weeks or day. I mean, you probably don't have weeks on an audition, but don't like spend days trying to get something so concrete,
Mm.
because I mean it's most likely not even gonna be like that at all.
Yeah,
It might just be an insert shot and you don't even see your face at all. So why are you trying to, work too much? So I don't know.
yeah,
That's my two
for
cents
sure.
on that.
Yeah, and also like with I do keep in mind with all of the analyzing and the picking and prodding and all the things, I make sure that though I've memorized and that I'm comfortable and I know what the movements I'm going to make and the words I'm going to say and how I'm going to say them, I make sure that my mind is open to change because
Mhm.
I mean with a callback, directors sometimes they'll be like, "All right, now throw that away and just say it how you want to," and I'm like. I
Mhm.
don't know how. I've
Right.
trained myself to say it exactly like this. So, I definitely just keeping that flow and keeping that open mind so that any direction that you get, can be made for sure as well.
Yeah, that's a good quality to have for actors, is to be able to be directed towards something else. And that's what the audition process is. You're going to it's not always you're going in for this character to like become this character, so everyone's like, oh yeah, this is the character. It's you're going in to show, and that's why I like to do multiple takes sometimes. You're going in to show that you have the range. Because even if you take your sides and perform it perfectly, there's no guarantee that when you get on set, the director's not going to be like, all right, that was dramatic, let's turn it into a comedy now. Or I mean, if the director did that, we'd have to have a different conversation. But that's just something that comes to mind. He could be like, oh, actually, I want you doing a handstand on this or something like that. um that's where that's why I try to not be so married to the script and trying to make my performance so concrete, is because if that happens, then we have somewhere to go. Like you were saying, you want to leave your mind open.
Mhm.
We have these other ways that we can go about it. The casting directors and directors, more than often, at least good ones, are more than often just looking to make sure that you can do multiple things, and you
Yeah.
can hit every single beat that they're wanting you to hit. It's not always, I don't know if that's really making sense. It's not always just like
Oh,
just for the character. It's
yeah.
just to show that you have the range to do other things and be
Yeah.
directed.
And sometimes it's not an actor coming in and wow, okay, that's the character. Sometimes it's an actor coming in and it's the casting director saying, okay, I see this, let's build on it. I see this. It's not so much that's the character and this is who they have to be and this is how they have to say things, but let's build the character because I see something in you. So I think for sure what you're saying makes sense.
And that's kind of what happened last year when I did this, like I auditioned for this student film, and I thought I did all right. I thought I did pretty good. But it turns out I didn't book that project. And I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's it's whatever. And it's for this school, it's for Moore Norman. So even though I didn't get into that student film, they had like a bunch of student films going on at the same time. My like footage got sent around to somebody, to another film, and eventually they were like, oh, actually we'll take him, we want you in this, and they kind of reached out to me. And that's another thing where it's not exactly like casting director, but it's like sometimes your audition, you just got to give your best and do it the way you see it, because it might not be for that role, but there might be for another role in the film, or shoot
Yeah.
another film, because casting directors are always working on multiple films. I've noticed
Yeah.
that, especially going through Actors Access and stuff. I'm like, dang, they're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. I completely agree. Definitely, when I had that big thing going on in January that I almost got and I didn't get it. I was in contact with the main casting director a lot, and she was saying how she like lots of people have seen my tapes and my singing videos and everything that I've submitted and there's so many people talking about it. And so they all talk to each other and not just in those aspects but definitely like I mean Victor who he is the like the director of education at Dead Center Film here in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
He he saw my audition for Lost and Found, uh, which is where I met Griffin, um, and so he saw that. And when I was working on the project on Lost and Found, he was talking to my mom, and he was like, "Yeah, you know what? I think that she would be really good for this other thing." And that's what I just did this month. And
Awesome.
so yeah, so definitely there's it's a very connected industry. It's very much who you know and who knows you, and it's very much connected.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very, yeah, very much connected. I'm glad you have a story about that. Um, to kind of shift away from auditions for a moment. I mean, auditions, that's a big part of, all the conversations, so I'm sure we might go back to it. But I wanted to shift to some more mental things, I guess, mental notes. Just starting off with like a very pretty broad question. And this is kind of going back to the order of how I had everything. So it might be like, oh, we just talked about, auditions, which seems very specific, but now we're going to more broad questions. Just know that I had the broad questions and we can, but that's the way
Do
how
your
this is how things go.
yeah, do
Like
your
we're
thing.
saying, leave room to improv. So that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So would you say, the acting, at least in your where you're at in your life right now in your career, is it like a rewarding process? Like, is it worth it?
I would say so. Like there is so much waiting in film. There's so much waiting and there's so much disappointment and heartbreak and that's it sounds really negative, but that is the reality of things is that so much of it is oh, I'm gonna get it. Oh, I didn't get it. Oh, here's this next thing, and I'm gonna get it. Oh, I didn't get it. There's so much time and effort and love that you put into these characters, and you haven't gotten it yet, and you get so far, or maybe you don't get far, but you don't get it, and it can be so discouraging and so negative on you. And when I did get so close, I mean, I was second in line for that role, and the only reason that I didn't get it was because I wasn't as experienced as the other girl. And so it wasn't even like, oh,
Mm.
you're just not as good, you can't do as much. It was just you're not as experienced. And I was like, how do you think I get experience
All
when I get
right.
paid?
Hmm.
So it's so devastating at times, and I was so devastated for so long, and it took me so much to get out of that hole of like, wow, because it was like I was on this happy high. I mean, every day was a good day. Every day was good. I was like, shoot, I'm on my way. I'm about to break out of here. Goodbye, Oklahoma. Like I'm on my
Right.
way. And then in one phone call, it was crash. And
Mm.
I think that that's so important to bring up because it's it's very real, and it's every actor, it's everyone in any business. You always hear rejection. And I mean, you know that saying, like, an actor, you'll hear a hundred no's before you hear a single yes.
Right.
And um knowing how to be okay with rejection, I mean, of course it stings, and of course you're disappointed, but knowing how to be okay with it is really important. And so I would say that acting is very rewarding, but it's also very hard. Like it's a very hard thing to be rejected constantly and still get back up again. And so I think that you have to build your resilience and build your skin to be really thick. But with all the negative, there is so much positive. I mean, when
Right.
I'm set, there is no place I would rather be. I mean, I'm the happiest. I will work a 12-hour day and I'm refreshed. Like I'm like, let's do it again tomorrow. Like there is no other place that I'd rather be. And especially what I love about the film industry is not just the connections that you make, you know, hi, we worked on this project together, but when you're on set, it's like, from my experience at least, it's like immediate friends, immediate family.
Yeah.
And it's like we've worked on this thing together and we're all able to laugh all day, every day for months or weeks, however long, and build this bond that in a 9 to 5 you don't build. It's, oh, hey
Right.
Jill, nice to see you at the coffee again. Like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But for acting, and I feel like especially as actors, you know, we have so much life. And I like to say that I'm an introverted extrovert. So like I'm like, I'll be in
I
an
say
open
the same
setting.
thing. Yeah.
Yes, like I'll be in an open setting, and I mean I won't come up to you, but if you come up to me, I mean I'll talk your head off. And it's just like with actors having so much life to live, like so much life to give, and love to share, and all the things, we click so easily with each other. I
That's
mean,
true.
it's like, hey, we have this one thing in common. And I just feel like actors specifically are so easy to get along with, you know. And that's not every single actor, but that's been my experience for the most part, is just a very, very good family environment for projects like that. And I love it. And everyone's so sweet and nice and caring, and all of the crew and everything are always there for you, and what do you need, and all the things like that. And it's so sweet. And I think as an actor, like why I do it specifically, um is, you know, you want to live 1,000 lives. Like if I could be a famous ballerina right now, that would be great. If I could also be a hardcore businesswoman, that would be amazing. You're
Hmm.
telling me I can book a TV show where I'm doing both? Like
Hmm.
that's incredible. And so I think like with being able to live 10,000 lives because you've got this role and you've got this role,
Yeah.
and this person sees you as this. I mean, this little girl, she sees you as a Disney princess, right? But this grown woman sees you as this hardcore businesswoman because they've seen you in different things. And
Right.
it's so incredible to be able to wear 100 different business hats. It's so incredible, and such a unique thing that nobody else gets to do. And I think it is I think it is so rewarding to be able to fulfill 10 million dreams and 10 million lives, and become a new version of yourself every day. I think
Right.
is so cool. And even another aspect is to like to be able to touch people in ways that other people aren't able to, to
Right.
be on film and have somebody watch it and tear up because you're going through something that you're not really going through.
Hmm.
It's incredible and it's unique and it's beautiful in its own way, and it's something that nobody else gets to do. And for me to be a viewer in a theater and watch a girl go through a breakup, or watch a man lose his wife, or a dog die, and I'm sitting here and I'm tearing up, and my breathing is heavy and all the things, and it's not even real, but my suspension of disbelief allows me to think it is. And
Right.
I think that that's so incredible. Like, the main goal for me is to be on that screen, and when my breathing gets heavier, so does yours. And I think that that's just so unique and incredible, and I think that will always be rewarding. I think it'll always be worth the heartache of rejection, you know?
Yeah. I really like that answer. Um, we have like a lot in common, more than I thought we did. Because I also, um, when I was younger, I wanted to, I thought I would be like a football player when I grew up in the NFL. And then I thought I'd be a preacher. Then I thought I'd be a musician. And then I kind of got to the point where I fell in love with acting. And um, ever since then, when people ask me like, um, well, if you weren't an actor, what would you want to be? Or they'll ask me questions about my profession and stuff like that. And I was like, well, when I was younger, I wanted to be a football player and a musician and a preacher. And then now here I am older and I can be all those things while also being the one thing that I love. And also being an actor, like, yeah, I could be those things on screen, but being an actor is so like unlimited that I can also still be those things. I could still be not necessarily like a preacher, but I could be someone who can use my platform to talk about, my faith. Sure, I'm not gonna play in the NFL, but I could, I don't know, I could do it. You could still be part of those worlds while
Yeah.
also not having to truly be parts of those worlds. You can just step in there for a little bit, whether it be on camera or literally actually step in there. Uh, I think I try to think about Glenn Powell and his like new Hulu show that's coming out, Chad Powers, where he's like this college quarterback, and it's like, yeah, he's acting like he's in college or whatever, but he actually is like a massive football fan, so it's rewarding. It's not just like, oh, here's another role. It's like, oh, this is something that I'm not getting to do in my real life anymore. Like I can't just like go join college football, but I can actually live in it so much to the point where I'm still like, I think they actually recorded like actual live game or something like that. Something where it's not just like green screen and everything. It's like people are actually out there doing the conditioning and doing the work. And I think that's a really cool thing where yeah, to piggyback off what you said about, being somebody else and for a little bit and getting to try out these professions and making people care about something that we're not truly going through. um, no, I mean, you really answered it perfectly. I don't even. I wanted to piggyback off of it because I try to piggyback off of everything with my thoughts, but you really conveyed everything so well.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, being an actor, it's the one thing that allows you to relate to anyone. Because in life, you're going through something, but I can't relate. I can be there for you, but I can't relate. I don't know
Right.
your sorrow and your pain, but but my character does. And if that can provide even more comfort, if you can feel even more touched by that, then that's a reward. And I totally completely agree with what you said. I mean, it's like I look, I'll see like Pinterest images of like these professional ballerinas, and not to be like a negative Nancy, but I'm like, oh, if I wanted to do ballet, I started way too late. Like there's no way I'd be
Yeah.
in the Nutcracker, or
Yeah. Right.
anything like that. But for a moment I could be, or dragons don't exist. There's no way, but for a moment they could.
Mhm.
And there's so much possibility, and there's so much, it's not like this in reality, but it could be like this in film, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I'll never stop loving it.
I like that I can. because I saw a casting call last week that I'm really like fingers crossed, praying to God that I get this audition. Um, but it's like for this film that's gonna have like kung fu and stuff in it. And one of the like character breakdowns, I really felt like, oh yeah, that's I could do like that's literally me, except for the kung fu part. But it's fun to like believe to let film like drive me to things that I've always wanted to do and never had the opportunity to do. Like kung fu. I don't know anything about kung fu, but sure, if like I got an audition and I didn't even have to book it, I would start looking more into like kung fu and stuff. And
Yeah,
especially like if someone needs a role and the person's got to be fit, I'm kind of like, oh well, I'm not in my best shape right now, but I'll do it for I'll that's I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'll do anything for the role,
yeah,
within reason. Like I said, we don't want to throw out our beliefs just so we
yeah,
could book something and then have that blow up in our face down the line. But if it comes to like learning like choreography for something, or like going to the gym harder than ever just to like get into that fitness, I find that very exciting too.
yeah,
I guess that's part of like just being an actor. It's like, why would you put your body through all that? It's like, because we love it, and there's no greater feeling to
yeah,
actually step into a character.
yeah, completely. It is the ultimate motivation to learn a new skill for sure. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you want me to
true.
speak French for a role? Oui, I got you for sure.
So getting more into the questions for people who are just like either like young or just like starting off. Um, I was gonna ask you a couple of these questions just so we can hear it from someone who is younger, how you would go about some of these things. So I was gonna ask you first if you have like headshots.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Are they like pretty recent headshots?
Actually, no, I need to get them refreshed, but I try to get headshots once every year.
Once every year. Oh, you're
Yeah.
better than me. I haven't got headshots in like 2 years, but I look
Well,
the same. So all I gotta do is shave whatever this is on my lip, and then I'll be good.
yeah, but
I could
they're
probably look
expensive.
17. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah, they
expensive.
are.
I don't want to spend $100, $200 on pictures when I'm like, you'll see what I look like in the audition. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, for you, it might be a little different because you probably do look like you look more mature now than you probably did since you are younger. You change really
Yeah.
fast.
I'm definitely tanner. Yeah, so my last time I was 17, I just turned 18. Um, I I feel like I never think I look different, but then I look back like a few years later and I'm like, girl, yeah, you do.
Hmm.
Um, but the last headshots I got were so good. Um, uh, it was a really fun session. It was great. But no, yeah, I definitely do try to do them once every year in January. So we're getting on
Oh,
that
about that
time.
time. Yeah. I brought that question up because I mean I was gonna ask like who you got their headshots through. That way, if I like clip out this or people watch this, and they want to like know someone specific,
Yeah,
um,
let me her Instagram. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
because
Mm.
I went to a guy named Ryan Tehan,
Mhm.
which he is local here in Oklahoma City. He usually does like, I mean, he does headshots, but he also it's usually for like business and corporate people. But I
Okay.
found him and I reached out to him and then he was kind of yeah we can get this done, and he does actor headshots, and he actually was thanking me more than I was thanking him because he's like it's you get so sucked up into like doing corporate and everything where everyone's coming in suit and tie looking either smiling slightly or just like straight faced, and he's like but you come in here and you're bringing all these different wardrobes and you're bringing these personalities, and I love being able to portray that, and I thought that was cool. Didn't like I had to pay that much, but that's part of the acting process, whole part of the acting process. But yeah, you found her
Yeah.
stuff.
Her name is Kelsey Thompson. She's here in Oklahoma. Um, so yeah, she was actually kind of the same story. She mostly did corporate things. And she actually like owns this whole studio, this whole like cute little
Oh
building.
cool, yeah.
Um, but Yeah, so she mostly did corporate things, and I got there, and I was actually, pretty nervous. But I was like, you know what, just go into it and just kind of it kind of sounds uh it sounds weird, but I was like, just pretend like she hired you. Like pretend like she's paying you for it, and don't be nervous, like, she's paying you. You're fine, even though I'm paying her like $200.
Mm-hmm.
Um but
Mm-hmm.
I go in, and she's the sweetest person ever, and she was like, yeah, I'm doing corporate things, and it's so nice. I need to have you back up here. It's so nice to have somebody young finally. And I was like, honestly, it was a really good, and I think she threw in another picture for me for free, which is so sweet. So
Awesome. Yeah.
she's very nice. Love her.
I actually also got a I was thinking if I should say it or not, but then you said it, so I'm gonna say it. I actually got a picture thrown in there for free too, because we were sitting down like looking at pictures, and I was kind of like, man, I don't know. I was like struggling between two pictures, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this one in there for free. And if you go to him, don't be expecting that anybody was just,
Yeah.
but and don't say that Chris said that you're gonna get something for free, because I didn't say that. But I was just starting off the being here in Oklahoma. It was like we moved up here to Oklahoma. I already had acting class. I already know who my acting coach was gonna be because I connected with her the year prior. So that's how ambitious I was. I wasn't even in Oklahoma yet, and I was already like, I'm going. I'll see you in April. But I think I got those headshots like if it's not in May, it was like June. So within 2 months of moving here, I was already getting headshots, and I was like, let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah.
Then like the month after, I was background in Twisters, the movie, and I was like, oh
Ah,
yeah. And
come
nothing for the
on.
rest of the year. I was like, wow. Welcome to acting, I guess. I got a class,
Oh.
I got headshots. I didn't put that on my I'm some people it was this is like a totally off topic story, but some people in Twisters, like the background, the first day we were there, they were already like putting their names on the IMDb page, and I was like, what are y'all doing? Like y'all can't do that. First of all, we signed NDAs. We can't be doing this. Second of all, like I don't have the confidence to go on to the official Twitter's like IMDb page and put my name hurt townspeople. Like that's so I don't know. Something about that's embarrassing. I was like, what do y'all do? Why would y'all do that? I'd rather not have my name on there at all.
Yeah, no, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was
I was hearing, I've heard like other people, and they're like, I was in the background of Twisters, and I'm like, I wish,
yeah.
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. They try I don't know. If I feel like if you're in California or New York or somewhere, whenever you get something that has to like change their name to something that's not what the actual title of the thing is, people might be like, "Man, this is some secret production. What is this production?" But it was like, "Hey, I got the email through Freihoffer. It was like dirt road casting or something. It's like casting for dirt road film, and I'm kind of like looking at it, I was like, that's Twisters. I don't no way can tell me that's not. And it's like we didn't know until we showed up that morning. It was like 6 o'clock in El Reno, and we walked in there, and they're like handing out our papers. They're like, here you are, make sure you go fill this out or whatever. And then we're looking at it's like dirt roads, aka Twisters. I was like, yeah, we know. I don't know.
We know.
And then literally on the news, it was like Twister shooting in El Reno. I was like, the news is telling everybody. This is like this. I don't, but it's whatever. I still kept my mouth shut because I was like, I'm background, but I'm still not about to,
You're
try
not about to get
anything.
sued, yeah.
I told my immediate family, but that's my
Yeah,
family. I live with them. I mean, I'm gone all day. They're gonna ask me where I am. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie. Now if it was like something I'm like the lead in or something, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
yeah,
Well, maybe not to them. Maybe I might tell them. They can keep secrets pretty well,
yeah.
um, but if I was like a major role or something, not like I'm background. I'm not like, oh, I got this part. Shh, shh, shh. It's like no, I don't. I just run across the street. Funny enough, you couldn't see me in the film, but my sister was watching it the other day, and she like screenshotted a frame of it where you can actually see me in the background running. I thought that was
Ah,
pretty cool.
that
It
is
took
cool.
like 2 years for someone to find me in it, but it's worth it. I look
I
good
just
too.
watched it the other day.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I'm the reason it was so good. So you're welcome for that.
Oh, no, 100%. I was like, I think that that's Chris.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was so unrecognizable with all that sweat pouring down me because it was like 102 degrees. People
Oh
were
man.
like we literally had to stop shooting. It was so weird being on a SAG set because people would be like not passing out, but just kind of like, oh, I need to come because we're literally they're like run back and forth, run back and forth, run back and forth. There's these big old like fans blowing at us. It's not to cool us off. It's because there's a tornado coming for us. So it's like it's blowing the debris and like leaves and stuff that like are just there and kind of like
Yeah.
getting hit with it while you're running. People are getting winded and stuff. And but it's like since it's a SAG set, it's like, all right, if literally one person falls who's not supposed to fall, they'll like stop everything. Um and
Nice.
it's like they'll like give water out and everything. I'm like, this is so and that's what I was saying. It's like right when I moved to Oklahoma City, it's like, yes, this is great. This is amazing. I can't wait for more things like this. And where people are taking care of us. And then you go the next project. I get nothing for like the rest of the year. The next project I'm on set, and it's just like it was a student film, so you gotta have some grace. You gotta know what
Yeah.
you're expecting, but you're still kind of like, man, I wish Glenn Powell was here. Anthony Ramos or Daisy Edgar Jones or somebody. But
Yeah, I
anyways,
wish
that's a whole long
someone
spiel for.
was there.
Have you gone to? I know you haven't said. I know you said you haven't done any feature films, but have you been on a set like that with some more like recognizable talent or people?
I'm like, if I have to think about it now. No, not yet. The closest I've gotten was that January thing with the chemistry read where there was because it was for a like what is it like not a sequel but like it was like the fourth film that was going to come out
Oh,
that
okay.
they were kind of trying to rebrand like kind of a spin-off type thing and so one like the two main actors from the movies already were there who we had to read with and
Oh,
then
cool.
there was some other people like in who are actually auditioning. There were some other people, and then there was one guy, and it's actually kind of embarrassing. I probably shouldn't have asked him, but I was like, "Are you from this show that I watched when I was a kid?" He was like, "Yeah, that's me." He's actually super sweet. But yeah, that's like the closest I've gotten to anything like that.
Were you starstruck by any of them? I
Oh
mean,
my
probably the
gosh,
last guy, but
I was so embarrassing on oh my gosh, I I like want to smack my mouth closed. I okay. So the actor that I was supposed to be reading like he was reading opposite of me.
Mhm.
Um he was famous and he's like 20 something and he smelt really good and I was like he was like I had a like I was I'd seen edits of him on TikTok and it was that kind of
Right.
thing. And so I went in and the way we did it was we were there all day. We would each like go in and the director would work with us and then we would come back into the room. We worked with amongst each other and then like we paired up, went in there, worked with the director, came back out, worked amongst each other. Then we went for lunch, then we came back, and that's when like the real audition started because the producers would come in and
Mhm.
into
Yeah.
the separate room. And so I had come back from working with the director and reading opposite of the guy from TikTok, and I came back into the room full of all the parents and the guy from my childhood show and then these other people and I was like oh he smells so good and he's so and I was like my mom was like oh yeah
Mhm.
it was
Mhm.
and so now thinking back on it I'm like keep it cool like well, girl you're
I
not
mean,
the
it's
same
understandable though.
oh but he did smell really good I wasn't lying
Well,
um
good. I mean, that means that the the myths are true or aren't true, I guess. It's like never meet your heroes because there's always something. Either
yeah
they're rude or they just stink. But I'm glad it was neither of
it
those.
just smelled bad.
That
No, he was super sweet. He was
that
good.
would literally kill my mood. So if I like met my celebrity crush and she stinks, oh my lord. Oh Lord, I would retire. Like I love acting so much, but that would be like all my dreams would just get crushed.
You just pissed me off. I'm quitting now. Bye. You
Yeah,
stink. Yeah. No,
I'll
he
probably say it too.
no, he definitely he lived up to the hype. He smelled really good and then he's super. I don't want to like put. I don't want to like name drop or anything, but
Mhm.
he definitely very just energetic and silly and goofy and he would improv and it was always hilarious and very very nice guy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Um, I can actually name drop because I didn't sign an NDA for this film, but I was like a featured background role back in December or actually November for this film called Brian. That was actually shooting here in Oklahoma, and there was a bunch of like I want to say A-list actors, but it's they're younger, so I feel like most like general audiences people probably don't really know who they are or anything, but they're people I've seen, I've grown up and watched, like Ben Wang, you know, the new Karate Kid. He's in it, he's at the lead, which is really cool. Uh and then but I say all that to say that Peyton Elizabeth Lee was there, who was, you know, like on Prom Pact and Andy Mack and the other show that I don't want to say because I always mess it up when I say the name, but she, you know, very like Disney. If you watch Disney Channel, you like know who she is. And she was there, and she walked in the room, and I was kind of just like, I was starstruck, and I kind of just like tensed up in the chair. Um, and then like out so much that I almost leaned over to Ben. I almost forgot Ben was famous too. That like I was about to lean over and I'm like, you see who's here? But I was, oh, I can't do it because he's sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a scene like where I had to like walk past her and we had to do it a couple times. And every time I'm like, don't say nothing. Don't you dare open your mouth. Because I knew it was going to be something embarrassing. Not that like I couldn't talk to her, but I was just like, I'm going to open my mouth and it's going to be like a squeal or something embarrassing. So
Yeah.
let me not do that.
Squill.
But that's actually the question I was going to ask you next. What she kind of already answered it was, what's like an embarrassing moment that you've had on set to kind of like ease the nerves of people, to kind of show that we all are like, you know, human and we make mistakes. But if you do have like another embarrassing moment that you wanted to share, you could definitely do that.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to hold it to the smell good guy.
The smoker guy obsessing over him. Um, yeah, let me think. You know what? I don't have one, but my mom.
Oh
Okay,
Lord.
let me.
We got to get your mom's consent to say this.
Are you cool? Yeah, she said yeah.
Perfect.
So we were walking. Um, we were doing this like commercial shoot and we her and I needed to go to the bathroom and then this other woman who was an extra as well needed to go to the bathroom so we went and it's through this building and so we had come back and there was water on the ground and I don't think that there was a wet floor sign but I'm not sure. Anyways, so she like walks and she slips and does that like cartoon fall and like boom on the ground and I'm like thank gosh it's just like the other lady who's there, but it was the funniest thing ever in my life. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. But no, I'm sure though that I will have. I mean, we can revisit in a year, and I'm sure if I
Yeah.
booked me, I will have some embarrassing moments because it's actually so bad at my old like regular job. Um, I used to have so many like just clumsy mess ups and everything that they named it Maliyah moments. I was like, yeah, like I'd had like mess up and they'd be like, Maliyah moment. I'm like, okay, yeah.
That's awesome, though. I mean, if you're gonna be remembered in some way, I think it's better to be remembered. Like, I honestly would rather be remembered in an embarrassing way than in like some epic cool moment. Everyone has their epic cool moments. You know, you just got to have your embarrassing moment and then own it. That's what I
Yeah,
feel like.
builds character.
It does build a character. And as an actor, you want to have those because it builds like more than character for actors. I feel like it just builds. I think it builds confidence. I need some like mishap or some mess up to kind of get my adrenaline going. I feel like I don't know if that's just me, um, but it kind of you try to go into something so perfect and you have like this perfect walk and you don't want to chew in front of other people because you're like, oh, I don't want people to like look at me and like catch me at this awkward chewing moment and you try to always have like this cool vibe or whatever and then like out of nowhere you might accidentally trip in the hallway or um your phone might go off during a take or something. Well, I hope not, but it's like you almost want to get it out of the way. If you try to
Mm.
spend all your time being perfect, whenever that embarrassing moment does happen, it could be so much that's just like detrimental, and you're just like, oh God, like that's really embarrassing. Can I leave now? Um, and it's better to like go ahead and have that because everyone's gonna have them. Stop trying to think that you're perfect and just kind of own those moments. Don't force it, of course, but if something happens, don't try to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people who don't try to hide themselves like behind some like perfect facade, people that like actually own up to like whenever they do something embarrassing, those are people that I try to hang out with on
Yeah.
set. Because I don't want to just talk to the person who looks all perfect. First of all, he might be intimidating because he looks perfect. But also because it's like generally they're more fun. The sets are supposed to be fun and not strict, and you shouldn't feel constricted.
Yeah.
Background actors a little more constricted than like main cast, but still, even if you are a background actor, you shouldn't really feel constricted to like you can't do anything, you can't talk to people. I mean, every set has different roles when it comes to like talking to people in your background, but you know, just remember that we're supposed to have fun. This is the fun industry.
Yeah.
Really, all the hard work goes into like being casted and like auditions and uh putting together your footage, and all that stuff happens if you have the opportunity to go to set, even if you're a background actor and you feel like all you did was put your name down on a paper, like you didn't have to audition like everybody else or go to school for 4 years and become crew. And you know, even if you make it on set, no matter which way you do it, I feel like it's enough where you're like feel validated to have fun and not feel like it's completely like a 9 to 5 where you're just going to trying to think of, I don't want to use exactly what you said earlier about the nine to five, but not somewhere where you're going where you could just
Just clocking in and clocking out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Where you could just go in and feel comforted, and it's because that's what the joy is. That's where the fun is. It shouldn't have. If it feels anything other than that, and it's not you, it's probably just something with the set. And if like at that point, just kind of roll with the punches, and hopefully whoever runs that set gets fired. Uh, I was kidding. I think I'm a very big
Blacklisting.
advocate for someone, especially on my sets, where I just want people to um have fun and feel like they have like a space to explore,
Yeah.
and never really feel constricted or that like they just got to sit there and be quiet and shut up. And because that's how I don't want to feel that way on a set, so I wouldn't want anybody else to feel that way either.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's definitely like you definitely want to feel like you're having fun. And for me personally, especially with having my mom there, we're always kind of like laughing and goofing off and stuff like that. There is a level of like professionalism, so I'm not like running around the place or the director's not looking for me every 5 seconds or anything like that. There is a level of professionalism. Of course, like you're on their time. You have respect for the environment and everything like that. But I definitely think what is so another thing that's just so great about being actors is that that environment is playful and it's fun and it's a bunch of nerds working on a project. I mean, at the end of the day, if you really want to sum it up, it's these people who love film, who would do anything for it, working on something together to make it something that other people can enjoy. And so I think how can people consuming this art enjoy it if the ones who made the art weren't even
Mm,
enjoying it?
yeah.
So definitely I think just being yourself and kind of not really worrying about. I mean, I've heard these stories of like, oh yeah, this actor, this big shot, big list, A-list actor, uh, you're not allowed to make eye contact with them when they're on set. You can't talk to
Yeah.
them. You can't this, you can't that. And I never understand that. I'm like, we're all here and we're all one family working on this baby, like we're
Yeah.
we're we're all in it together. And so I'll never understand that kind of like big head energy. And I think you can kind of get a feel for some actors when you're like, I think this guy thinks he's the like I think he thinks he's the
Hmm.
stuff. Like I think he kind of, he's like, I'm an actor and I'm whatever.
Yeah.
Um but I feel like being really grounded and kind of down to earth and just this is just something that we love to do and we're doing it together. I think is really important and with that comfort and that environment, your natural self is just comfortable to come out, and you don't have to be worried about being perfect all the time, because I'm definitely not worried about being perfect all the time. I mean, not at all. On set, I'm like, I'm just kind of there. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of doing my thing and just
Yeah.
for sure.
That actually leads me to the last question I was going to ask you before we start to wrap things up. Um, is we talked about audition, like your audition process, and the next question I was going to ask after that was, what is kind of like your on-set process like? Which I know you kind of just touched on how you are, but just for people who might feel like they're stagnant or like really still on set and not really know what to do, or people who might just like who book something and like watch this, and kind of want to see how the on-set life truly is. How would you kind of like describe, and I know every set is different, obviously, if you go on a really like a dramatic set where every scene is really, toned down and everything, it might be different than something that's really high pitched or something sci-fi or whatever. But I just want to ask you, and kind of like your journey through commercials and short films, are you more like the arrive and be quiet? What, I mean, we kind of already know that, but are you like, where's the coffee? Because I know some people can't like even do anything without coffee. Or how do you, when you arrive on set, what kind of person are you, or what kind of actor are you?
Yeah, so I definitely, before anything, I wake up and I make sure that I have my set bag. So I've got in there, I've got like anything that I'll need throughout the day. You know, I got deodorant, can't be musty. I've got Excedrin for
Mm-hmm.
headaches. I've got water. I've got my sides. I've got everything that I need to just be totally comfortable and happy on set. Because I love and appreciate the crew and the people who are there to serve you, but I don't want, it's like, I know it's your job to serve me, but I feel bad making you serve me. Like,
Right.
I
Yep.
just I want to do as much for myself as I can before I ask you to help me. And so, just as like a courtesy type thing.
Mhm.
So I any before anything, I make sure that I'm prepared with my set bag. And so then I head to set, and I try to get there like 15-20 minutes early, before my original call time to set. I get there, I kind of just, I'm with my mom. I am introduced to whoever is there, and they kind of tell me where to go. And so then I go and I sit and I chat with my mom. And along the way, I'll like see people if I know them, because before I'll be like, oh hi, like nice to see you, blah blah, blah, all the chit chat. If I don't know them, I'm kind of that introverted extrovert. I'm kind of reserved and hi, smile, whatever. And then head to my space with my mom, and she relaxes me, and we're
Yeah.
this is my person who I'm comfortable with, and who is funny and who I can joke with. And so I think it's very important to have that presence with me, at least, is in this kind of, you're kind of always placed in an environment that you've never been in,
Mhm.
which is because as an actor, like your environment is always changing, you're always on different sets. And so the first day is always the scariest for me, is like, oh, I'm just kind of placed into this place with all these people that I've never met before, and I never know you. But and then as the hours go on, we get more comfortable. But so I'll sit and I'll talk to my mom, and we'll kind of chat and stuff like that. And then sometimes the other actors are around me, and I'll start talking to them, and my mom will start talking to their parents and all the things like that. Then I'll go to hair and makeup, and I always make sure, like, anybody watching, you need to like talk to the crew, like talk to the people who are serving you, like those people who are doing your makeup, who are doing your hair,
Yeah.
talk to them, and it's not even about so much a connections thing, which is always a reason to as well, is that you don't know who knows who. So one bad experience and you could be screwed out of something that you could have gotten later in life. You just don't know.
Right.
But uh not just making connections, but just being a nice person. I feel like I never ever want my reputation to be, that's a mean girl, or she was rude, or she was impolite, or anything like that. So I'm always talking to whoever's doing my makeup, whoever's picking out my outfit, all the things. So I'll go through that process. I'll make conversation, and then normally I'll just sit around. I'll kind of chill. For the first few hours, I'm typically just kind of sticking with my mom. I'll get on set, and if it's with another person, um, normally like when we're not rolling and stuff, I'll be talking with them, and then that'll make me more comfortable, and then I'll kind of stray off from my mom a little bit, and I'll reach out to them and all the things, and then eventually, I mean, maybe like 5 hours later, I'm totally comfortable, and I'm talking to everybody, but yeah, I make sure to. And another thing that I really 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 love about set is that the adults, in my experience, talk to me like an adult. So even
Hmm.
though I'm legally an adult now, but ever since 2019 when I was 12, they don't censor themselves around you, which sounds bad, but for me at least, I never really liked the whole idea of like, oh, pss, 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 oh, pss, pss,
Hmm.
pss. Like I never
Hmm.
liked
Yeah.
that. If you're talking to somebody and I'm around, don't don't censor it or anything. Just talk how you wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Because it can feel belittling. It can feel like I'm not a part of, I know I'm not literally a part of the conversation, but I want to feel like I am,
Hmm.
because I'm
Yeah.
sitting right here. But so what I love about set is that the adults who are there are talking like they're adults and like you're an adult. And so oftentimes I'll be sitting, behind I'm on camera, and they're figuring out the lighting and stuff, and I'm joking with whoever's holding the sound thing. And
Yeah.
and I'm joking with the director and all the things. And I think that really, as somebody who is kind of shyer at first, um it is important to step out of your comfort zone. I don't think that any progression can ever be made if you're constantly comfortable. And so I'm never going to make friends, and I'm never going to make connections if I feel introverted and I feel shy. So the entire time I act introverted and I act shy. And I think especially for actors, if you can act like you're a famous millionaire in this movie, you better be able to act like you can carry a little bit of a conversation with this person
Yeah,
you just met.
exactly.
And building chemistry is such an important thing for acting, because
Yeah.
if I try and